The endless desert. The two suns hung high in the sky. Heat waves danced above the sand. The desert looked endless. Ethan Walker was alone. His skin was burned. His lips were dry. His feet were bloody. He had no water, no food, no help. The crash had happened 3 days ago. His spaceship was hit by an asteroid storm. Only he survived. The others, he didn't want to think about them. Now he walked across a strange desert on a distant planet called Zarin 6. He didn't know where he was going. His emergency beacon was broken. His body was weak. Ethan had already dropped his backpack. It was too heavy. The only thing he carried now was a small metal rod, useless for defense, but it made him feel less alone. The sand burned through his boots. The hot wind scratched his face. He fell once, got up, walked again, fell again. This time he didn't get up. He lay on his back, staring at the yellow sky. He tried to breathe, but his throat was dry like dust. His heart slowed down. Is this it? He thought. Is this how I die? He closed his eyes. Then he felt something cold touch his lips. Water. His eyes opened slowly. A hand was holding a metal flask to his mouth. He drank. The water was clean, cool, and real. It flowed down his throat like life itself. He blinked. A figure stood above him. Tall. Thin. Not human. She had long white hair that floated like silk in the hot wind. Her skin was light blue, almost glowing. Her eyes were large, bright, and violet. Her face was calm but unreadable. She wore strange clothing, light armor made of silver and cloth. Her hands were small but strong. She said nothing, only stared at him with curiosity and caution. Ethan coughed and tried to speak. Who are you? She didn't answer. She tilted her head. Then she pointed at the far dunes and turned around. She started walking away. Wait, Ethan called, struggling to stand. His legs shook. His body screamed in pain, but he followed her. The girl didn't stop. She walked as if she knew the way. Ethan stumbled after her, sometimes falling, but still going. She didn't look back, but she didn't leave him behind either. They walked for over an hour. The desert stretched in all directions. But soon Ethan saw something. Rocks. A hidden canyon. The girl led him into a narrow crack between the cliffs. Inside it was cooler. The walls gave shade. They walked deeper until they reached a cave entrance. The girl stepped inside. Ethan followed. The cave was strange. The floor glowed faintly with blue light. Crystals grew from the walls. In the corner, there were dried herbs, clean cloth, and a small fire pit. It was a hiding place. A home. The girl turned to him and pointed at a stone slab. Ethan sat. She opened the flask again and gave him more water. He drank slowly this time. Thank you, he whispered. She still said nothing. She sat near the wall watching him carefully, like she wasn't sure if he was friend or threat. Ethan looked at her. She was beautiful, yes, but also sad. There was pain in her eyes. She had small scars on her neck and arms. Old wounds. Maybe from war. Maybe from something worse. He wanted to ask questions. Who was she? Why was she alone in this desert? Why did she help him? But he was too tired. He leaned back against the cool rock and closed his eyes. For the first time in 3 days, he felt safe. And somewhere, deep in his tired mind, one question burned. Who was this alien girl, and why did she save a human? Ethan woke up to the sound of dripping water. Not from rain. It hadn't rained once on this dry, strange planet. The sound came from deep inside the cave, a slow, soft drip, drip, drip. He sat up. His muscles ached, but he felt better than before. Stronger. The water from the alien girl's flask had saved his life. She wasn't there. For a moment, panic hit him. He looked around the glowing cave. No sign of her. just the dim crystals on the walls and the cold air around him. Then he heard a sound. Not water. A song. A soft hum, not in any language he knew. It echoed like wind through hollow stone. Gentle. Sad. Lonely. He followed the sound. Deeper inside the cave, Ethan found her. The alien girl sat on the edge of an underground pool. She dipped her hand in the water as she hummed. Her back was to him. She wore no armor now, only a thin silver cloth wrapped around her. Her long white hair spilled over her back. She seemed lost in her song. Ethan stayed quiet. He didn't want to break the moment, but the girl suddenly turned. Her glowing eyes locked with his. She stopped singing. "I'm sorry," Ethan said softly. "I didn't mean to." She raised her hand, not to stop him, but to offer him something, a piece of smooth crystal. It pulsed with a blue light. He took it. Suddenly the crystal warmed in his hand, and in his mind he heard her voice. Not with his ears, but directly in his thoughts. It was clear, soft, and strange. "I do not trust you yet, but I do not fear you either." Ethan stared in shock. "You can speak?" "Through the stone, yes. Your words are harsh to my mouth, your thoughts are easier." Who are you?" She hesitated. Her face, always calm, now showed pain. Her hand went to her throat. A long scar ran across it. "My name was taken. My voice, almost too, but I survived." Ethan didn't know what to say. He had seen pain before, but this was something else. Deeper. "I'm Ethan," he finally said. "I crashed here. I thought I'd die in that desert." "Many do. That desert takes what it wants." "Why did you save me?" She didn't answer at first, then, "Because you looked like me, lost, alone, dying." Her words hit hard. Ethan had never felt so far from home, and yet, in this moment, so understood. The girl stood up. She walked to the wall and brushed away dust, revealing a large painting carved into the rock. Figures of her kind. Some tall and strong, some small and hurt. One image showed a group of aliens kneeling before a human. "What is this?" he asked. "Old story, forbidden now. It says your kind once came here and helped us before the fire fell." "Fire?" "War. Long ago. My people were broken. Some still rule with hate, others hide, like me." Ethan stepped closer. "You're hiding from them?" She nodded. "They hunt me. I saw what they did to the weak. I would not become them. So I ran." Ethan's eyes moved across the wall carvings. One last image showed a human hand giving water to a crying alien child. His breath caught. Was this destiny? "You helped me," he said. "Now I'll help you." She looked at him unsure. Then finally, she gave the smallest nod. "The desert is not done. We must move. Night comes fast here, and with it, the hunters." "Hunters?" She turned away and whispered one last thought into his mind. "You are not the first human they've found, but you might be the last." The wind howled outside the cave. Ethan sat near the fire, but his body was tense. He felt something strange in the air. The alien girl, who still had no name, stood near the entrance. Her eyes didn't blink. Her hand rested on a strange metal staff. She listened, not to sound but to vibrations in the sand. Then she whispered into Ethan's mind, "They are close, sand hunters." Ethan stood up quickly. "Who? What are sand hunters?" "Trackers, killers, not beasts, not people, something in between. They hunt noise, heat, and fear." Ethan's throat tightened. He looked out at the darkening desert. The twin suns had set. Only starlight and cold wind remained. Then he felt it. A low hum, deep in the earth. The sand outside began to shift. Something big was moving beneath it like a submarine underwater, but this was under sand. The girl grabbed Ethan's arm and pulled him back into the shadows. Stay quiet. Do not breathe loud. Do not move. The humming grew louder. Ethan could now hear clicking and sniffing. Suddenly, a creature burst from the sand outside the cave. It was twice as tall as a man, with black skin like cracked stone and a mouth full of thin, sharp teeth. Its eyes were hidden behind bone plates. It had no ears, just long feelers that twitched and tasted the air. Ethan froze. Another one appeared beside it. Then a third. They sniffed around the entrance. One stepped into the cave. It made a sound, like a low growl mixed with broken glass. Ethan's heartbeat thudded in his ears. He held his breath. The girl closed her eyes and held up her hand. Oh, tiny light blinked on the metal staff she carried. The cave's glowing crystals dimmed. Everything faded into darkness. The creature stepped right past them, inches away. Ethan could feel the heat from its body, smell its dry, bitter scent. The creature paused, sniffed, then it turned. It left. The other two followed. The cave was silent again. Ethan finally exhaled. What were those things? The girl didn't answer at first. Then the crystal in. Ethan's hand warmed again. They are made to find rebels. I was one. They know my scent. Ethan sat down, his head spinning. Why are they hunting you? What did you do? I refused to kill, I refused to be sold, I ran from my master, now they chase me forever. Ethan looked at her. So, you were a slave? She nodded slowly. Until I escaped. My kind. Some of us are born to serve, but I chose something different. I chose the desert. And you still saved me, Ethan said. Even though I'm human. Even though I could have turned you in. Because you were dying. Because I remember the old stories, the ones my people are told to forget, the ones that say, humans are not monsters. Ethan felt quiet. He remembered his team, his friends, all lost in the crash. Maybe this was fate. Maybe this was the reason he was still alive. He stood and looked at her with new respect. I'm with you now. I'm not leaving you out here alone. She stared at him, her face unreadable. Then slowly placed her hand on his chest. Then we move at dawn. They will return, stronger, in numbers. Where will we go? To the temple. To the place where no sand hunter can walk. Only humans may enter. Ethan blinked. Why? Her eyes glowed softly. Because it was built for you, long before I was born. Ethan followed the alien girl across the desert before sunrise. The sand was cold now, almost soft under his feet. But danger still lurked beneath it. The sand hunters had not returned, yet. The girl moved with purpose, silent, careful. She scanned. The stars above, the wind, the shape of every dune. Ethan couldn't read her thoughts anymore. The crystal she gave him had gone dark. But something about her had changed. Her back was straighter. Her eyes sharper. She wasn't just surviving, she was guiding. Hours passed. At the horizon, Ethan saw something strange. A giant shape buried under the sand, broken towers, crushed metal, shattered glass, a huge circular hole, like a gaping mouth, at the center of a wreck. It wasn't a cave. It wasn't a mountain. It was a crashed alien city. Ethan's eyes widened. What is this? The girl didn't answer with words. She simply walked forward. They climbed over twisted steel beams and walked on shattered walkways. Alien signs, worn with time, lined the walls. Some glowed weakly. Inside the ruin, it was quiet, still, but Ethan could feel something watching. They entered a chamber. It was filled with broken pods, some cracked open, some still sealed. Ethan touched one of the glass lids. Inside was a human body. His heart jumped. The man wore an old Earth uniform, a patch red, ESS Pathfinder. It was a ship that vanished 150 years ago. Ethan backed away. This man was from Earth. From my world. The alien girl touched the wall. It lit up. Blue lights formed patterns and then a hologram. It showed the past. A group of humans, standing beside her kind, smiling, sharing food, building something together. One human held up a symbol, an ancient coin with Earth's flag on it. But then, the scene changed. Explosions, screaming. The city burned. The humans fought, but lost. Her kind turned on them, enslaved them, betrayed them. The last image was brutal. One human man being dragged away by guards, screaming toward the stars. Then, darkness. Ethan stood frozen. The girl's voice entered his mind again, soft and full of sadness. This was once a place of peace. Then it was taken, erased, buried. My people hid the truth and killed the ones who remembered. Ethan whispered. But you remembered? She nodded slowly. My mother told me in secret. She paid for it with her life. Ethan clenched his fists. Why bring me here? She walked over to a sealed door and placed her hand on it. It opened with a hiss. Because you are proof the old stories were true, and the temple we seek was built by your kind. To stop the war. They entered the next chamber. Inside, a giant machine rested on a glowing platform. It looked like a beacon, tall and ancient, covered in dust. The girl wiped it with her hand. A small panel lit up. Text appeared. Ethan read aloud. Emergency terraforming beacon. Authorized human DNA required. His breath caught. This is a terraformer? It can change the land? Yes, the girl replied. If you turn it on, the desert will become green again. The hunters will be driven away. Life can return here. Why hasn't anyone used it? Because no one has your blood. Only a true human can wake it. Ethan stepped closer to the panel. He placed his hand on it. The light turned green. A deep voice echoed through the ruins. Human recognized. Sequence initializing. The floor rumbled. Lights shot up through the beacon. But just as it powered up, a loud alarm screamed. The girls' eyes widened. They heard us. Far above, on the dunes outside, something moved. Dozens of red eyes flickered in the sand. The sand hunters were coming. The desert shook under their feet. The beacon's light glowed bright, seen from miles away. And now the sand hunters were coming. Not just one or two. A whole pack. The alien girl grabbed Ethan's arm. We have minutes, maybe less. She pulled him through the broken tunnels of the crashed city. They climbed over sharp wreckage, moved under fallen metal beams, and past skeletons of the past. Ethan's heart pounded. We shouldn't have activated the beacon. We had to. It was the only way to bring life back. But now it might get us killed. Before she could reply, a noise exploded behind them. Crash! A hole burst open in the wall. A sand hunter crawled through, snarling, its claws sparking on the floor. The girl turned and fired a small energy blast from her staff. The creature roared, but didn't fall. More shadows followed behind it. They ran. They reached the main gate of the ruins. The exit was blocked. Outside, several alien ships hovered in the air. Figures in silver armor marched toward them. Ethan stopped cold. Those aren't hunters. Who are they? The girl's face turned pale. Enforcers, royal, guards. One of them stepped forward. His armor was gold. His voice echoed through a speaker. Return the stolen female. She belongs to the House of Sareth. You, human, have no rights here. Step aside. Ethan stood still. The girl whispered into his mind. They think I'm property. A gift that ran away before her wedding. They want to take me back. And make me vanish. Ethan looked at her, then at the guards. He stepped forward. She's not going anywhere with you. The guards raised their weapons. Final warning. The female must be returned or we open fire. Ethan raised both hands. I'll give you something. He reached into his side pouch and pulled out the metal flask, the same flask she had used to save him in the desert, the one that gave him life. He held it up. This flask saved my life. Your people left me to die. She didn't, and I'm ready to trade it. The guards laughed. What use is water? Ethan smiled. It's not just water, it's a symbol, a memory. You can take this metal, but you can't take her soul. One guard raised his blaster and fired. Ethan jumped in front of the girl. The blast hit him in the chest. He dropped to the ground. The girl screamed, not with her voice, but with her mind. A pulse of blue energy shot out from her. The sky had changed. The two suns were hidden behind clouds for the first time in years. The desert wind was quiet, and the sand was no longer just sand. Small green sprouts had started growing from it. Ethan and the alien girl stood at the edge of a new world. The beacon had awakened the land, but danger had not ended. The girl looked to the west. The dunes rose and fell like waves. But one dune in the distance stood taller than the others, sharp, shaped like a fang. She pointed. There, the heart of the dunes, the oldest place, the last hope. Ethan followed her gaze. What's there? A temple, buried deep. It hides something ancient, something that can end the hunters and the enforcers, but only if you pass the trials. Trials? Ethan frowned. Only a human may enter. The temple is alive. It remembers kindness. It remembers betrayal. Ethan looked down at the flask in his hand. Its glow was fading. Then we better hurry, he said. They walked for hours. The desert was silent, as if watching. Finally, they reached the great dune. At its base was a crack in the sand. A path opened when the girl touched a stone with her hand. They climbed down. The air grew cooler. The tunnel walls were smooth, carved by something not human. Torches lit by themselves as they walked. Strange writing glowed on the walls, symbols that looked both alien and Earth-like. Ethan paused in front of one. It showed a human holding hands with an alien girl. Between them, the flask. It's us, Ethan whispered. But how? This was made long ago. Time moves differently for this place, the girl replied. The temple sees all things that matter. They entered a large chamber. At the center was a floating stone platform. 4 glowing rings spun above it. As soon as Ethan stepped forward, the temple spoke in a deep voice. You carry water. You gave life. You may begin. The ring stopped. A doorway opened. Inside was darkness. Ethan stepped in. Inside the trial room, the light vanished. Ethan was alone. Then a vision began. He was back in the desert, dying, alone, without hope. But this time no one came to save him. He saw the alien girl walk away, cold and uncaring. Stop, he cried. That's not her. She saved me. The voice returned. You must choose. Save yourself, or save the one who once saved you. The vision changed again. He saw the girl now, chained, crying, dragged by enforcers. A knife was in Ethan's hand. He could fight, or run. His heart pounded. He chose to fight. He raised the knife and charged the vision. The shadows broke like glass. Light returned. The trial had ended. Ethan stood again in the main chamber. The girl rushed forward, her eyes filled with light. You passed. You proved your heart. The floating rings lowered. Inside the center platform was a seed. No ordinary seed. It pulsed like a heartbeat. It shimmered gold. This is the core of change, she whispered. If planted in the old sands, it will grow a forest in one night. It will drive out all who come with hate. Ethan took the seed. Then we planted. But before they could leave, the chamber shook. Screams echoed down the tunnel. The girl closed her eyes. The Royal One. He has found us. At the top of the dune, a golden ship landed. The one who led the enforcers had returned, with an army, and he didn't want the seed. He wanted revenge. The air around them shimmered. The sand cracked. Crystals in the earth glowed. The beacon from the crashed city roared back to life, full power. Suddenly, lightning cracked across the sky. Sand lifted and blew with force. The enforcers stumbled back, confused. The girl knelt beside Ethan. His eyes were half closed. "Why?" she whispered in his thoughts. "Why did you take the blast for me?" He coughed. Blood stained his lips. "Because you gave me water, gave me hope. I'm just, returning the favor." She held the flask to his mouth again, but there was only one drop left. She poured it on his wound. The flask glowed, then so did his chest. The energy flowed into him like fire. He gasped. The pain faded. His breathing slowed, then steadied. The girl looked at the flask. It was not just water, it was sacred. Ethan sat up slowly. The guards were gone. The sand hunters had scattered. The land around them was glowing, alive. The beacon had worked. The desert was no longer dead, but the girl looked afraid. "They will send more, they will not stop unless we stop them first." Ethan nodded. His hand gripped hers tight. "Then let's finish what we started." The winds howled again, but this time it wasn't a storm. It was war. Atop the dune, the golden ship opened. Dozens of armored enforcers marched out. Their leader, the royal general, stepped forward. His cape dragged in the sand. His face was hidden behind a silver mask. He raised his hand. "Return the runaway, return the seed, or burn with the past." The alien girl stood beside Ethan at the mouth of the temple. Her eyes were fierce. She held her staff tightly. Ethan held the glowing seed in one hand and the empty metal flask in the other. He turned to her. "How far do we have to go to plant it?" "To the center of the oldest dune, the place where the first drop of water fell long ago." "And how long will it take?" 1 minute, but only if we get there alive." Ethan looked out at the army. "Then one of us runs, the other fights." "No," she said, stepping forward. "We fight together, or we fall together." The enforcers opened fire. The desert lit up with blue blasts. Ethan and the girl ran in opposite directions, dividing their attackers. She used her staff to call the wind. Sand rose like walls. Some enforcers were blinded. Ethan jumped over rocks, dodging fire. One blast hit his leg. He fell, but he kept the seed clutched in his fist. He crawled toward the center dune. The flask hung from his belt, clinking softly, like a bell. The royal general saw him. He roared and flew forward using a jetpack. He landed in front of Ethan and pointed his blade at his chest. "You think you can grow a forest and stop us? We've burned this world for centuries." Ethan spit blood and smiled. "But you never had roots, just fire." He threw the empty flask at the general's face. It hit the mask. The general flinched. That was all Ethan needed. He pushed forward and jammed the seed into the sand. Deep, the ground glowed gold. The general stabbed down. His blade pierced Ethan's side. But it was too late. The dune exploded with light. Golden. Vines burst from the sand, wrapping around the general's legs. Green trees shot up like rockets. Flowers bloomed under fire. The sand became grass. Air turned cool. The enforcers screamed. Their weapons turned to rust. The ground swallowed them. The girl ran to Ethan's side. He was covered in dust and blood. "No, don't leave me now." Ethan smiled weakly. "You gave me water. I gave you roots. You gave me more," she whispered, holding his hand. "You gave me a future." Suddenly, the flask at Ethan's belt began to glow again. Light poured from it. It wasn't empty. It never was. The last drop of sacred water spilled from the flask onto Ethan's chest. The wound healed. His eyes opened. Wide, he breathed. Weeks later, the desert was gone. In its place stood a forest. Cool winds danced through golden trees. Rivers flowed where sand once ruled. The enforcers never returned. The alien girl stood beside Ethan on a green hill. People, both alien and human, walked together below. She held the flask in her hands, now decorated with symbols of peace. "What will you do with it now?" Ethan asked. "Give it to someone else. One day someone will be lost, and I'll be the one to offer hope." He looked at her. "Do you think they'll believe us? That a desert turned green all because of one act of kindness?" She smiled softly. "They don't have to believe it. They just have to live in it." And together, they walked toward a future where hope grew like fire from the sand.